What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nintendo Power Block for December 15th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, that retro code, Edward Barnell.
There's so much new Nintendo games coming out, and I cannot handle it. Yes.
I know.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, man. Well, let's try this again. We started to record the episode, and none of the audio was being captured, and we were having a really good discussion. So, anyways, how are you, Ed? We're going to try this again.
I'm doing great. He just excited from all the Nintendo news that was just dropped in. Like me and you just conversating, just like, oh, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming, this got announced, and like literally for almost 2 days, we have been talking nonstop about stuff that's coming out. But we'll probably get into that later. But
we can get into it. We can get into it now. Like we were talking about like the roadmap that's kind of starting to form for Q1, Q2 for Switch. Like there's so many games coming out and that are starting to get release dates. Like not super AAA type things. Well, some of them are, but like some physical copies for indies, some special editions for indies, some kind of single A type games. So I'm going to run down that list real quick, actually. And So Rocket League Special Edition's coming out on January 16th. It is already out digitally if you want it in all the DLC, but this comes with a bunch of DLC packs for an extra $10. I think it comes with something else too on January 16th. So look out for that. Lost Spheres on the 23rd. Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap physical copy is coming out also on the 23rd. February is a pretty big month already, too, with the Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection coming out on the 16th. And then Payday 2 Special Edition is coming out on the 27th, which Payday 2 is an interesting one because it's going to test Nintendo's online functionality because that game is an online co-op experience and you need friends and you need to be communicating, so that game's going to be super interesting to bring to this platform. But
and I wonder, are they going to do local play?
They're going to have to at least implement that a little bit, right? Because that's kind of like the big hook of the Switch is like it does what the DS does so well, where like you can just connect to friends hanging out in the same room and play together. So
which is funny that you mentioned the DS. At work yesterday, some lady was just like, "Where's your Thomas the Train at for 3DS?" I'm like, "They don't have a Thomas the Train." Yes, they do. I got a picture of it. I was like, "No one has made that game for the 3DS." Yes, they do. Here's the picture. Let me bring it up. I'll walk over, and it says Nintendo DS. I'm like, "Ma'am, that was for their last system. That was years ago." I'm like, there's no Thomas the Train game. Who Thomas the Train? Who gonna license them and make their game?
I mean, technically DS games play on the 3DS, so she's partially not wrong.
I mean, she is wrong because she wanted it for 3DS.
Well, some people just don't know how to shop for games, Ed.
That is true. That's why NGR Radio Spire Guide is available now. You guys can read it.
Yeah. So, and then the last one that has a firm release date right now is the anime fighting game Blade Strangers, coming out on March 21st. So, if you're into them animes and them fighting games.
Yes, which I have a question for you. Did Pocket Fighters ever come out? I was watching the Nintendo Indies Direct from February, and I don't know if that game ever came out. There have been some games that had some release dates.
Are you talking about Pocket Rumble?
Yeah, I think so. Pocket Rumble, like that 8-bit sprite Game Boy looking one.
Yep, it's $9.99.
Okay. I was watching it and I'm just like, did that game ever come out?
Yeah, it's $9.99 on Switch and it released earlier this year, it looks like. So
okay.
It's a Game Boy Color inspired fighting game. It's simple 2-button fighting mechanic. So looks interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to probably pick it up. Yeah.
But still coming in the first half of 2018 for Switch is Fire Emblem, Project Octopath Traveler, the Mega Man Legacy Collections 1 and 2, Fire Emblem, Yoshi, the Yoshi game, Kirby Star Allies, Wolfenstein 2. I don't know. I think I just named that twice, but there's still like probably 10 to 12 games still, like big games. Then that's not including indies. That's not including games that haven't been announced yet.
Right.
So, we'll see some sort of direct probably in the next, I was going to say a couple months, but it's really like the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's almost January, man. This year flew by. Man.
Yeah, like
Ed,
Christmas,
can you believe we've been doing this show for a year and a half?
Yes.
Jeez. Sorry.
We're just I was actually going through all our shows that we have done from beginning till like now, and it just shows the evolution of the show.
Yeah, I know, dude. Like, man, I went back to like look at the show that we like, because like Power Block used to be part of DNA, and like I was looking through those shows and then moving it over to NGR and then like adding all those shows up together. Man, dude, we've done so much Power Block, and it's amazing.
Yes.
So, but yeah, man, before I realized the audio was not recording on the last discussion, we were having this discussion about how I posted this picture on my Instagram about I was teasing Power Block, and I'm gonna make a Power Block Instagram. I'm gonna make a Power Block Instagram so we can post like Nintendo stuff, and Ed, I'll give you the password and stuff so you can post there too. Just like maybe some amiibo or some fun Nintendo type stuff. So I'll probably have that announcement next week during our Game of the Year discussion. But
yes. I'll have a special announcement at the end of the show for all you Power Blockers. You might actually enjoy this one.
Oh yeah, is this the one thing you were telling me about yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Please be excited. Quoted from Square Enix E3 2016, 15, one of those. But anyways,
that's the equivalent of Jeb Bush. Please clap.
Yeah. Yeah. But I posted this picture of my Switch on our coffee table, and I put all the Nintendo published games or Nintendo featured games, like Mario plus Rabbids wasn't published by Nintendo, it was published by Ubisoft, so it has Mario in it. So I put all like the Nintendo games around it, and it was like Power Block Game of the Year discussion coming next week. I'm really excited to talk about it. And like some people were like, oh man, that looks cool, but other people were like, convince me to buy a Switch. And I was like, no, that's not my job to convince you to buy a Switch. Like, I don't need to convince anybody to buy a Switch. And like, I think this person was just kind of like, kind of being, an internet person. But like at the same time, this person's going out to buy a Switch.
Like, this is the thing that, and when we was talking before, if you want to buy a system, you don't need convincing. Go buy it. If you want it, do it. If you don't want it, don't buy it.
Yeah, and like
all the platform holders, third party and indie games have there's reviews out for games. They have shown trailers to the directs. E3, they have shown you stuff that is on their platform or coming to their platform. Now, if it meets your excitement and what you love about video gaming, go get that platform. Don't nobody have to convince you.
Yeah.
If you got the money to buy something, go and buy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for me, I was like, I don't need to convince anybody to buy a platform, because like for me, I buy the platforms. I buy Nintendo platforms regardless, because I'm a huge Nintendo fan. But at the same time,
right?
I look at their library of games and it's like the Wii U, for example, had a way more compelling library for me as a gamer than Xbox One. But You know, obviously some people didn't feel the need to buy a Wii U, and that's fine. Like, that's whatever. But at the same time, it's like, I didn't really need to convince people to buy a Wii U because I bought one and I was happy with it. And like, it had so many great games that like now the people that didn't buy a Wii U are like, oh, maybe those Wii U games should be ported to Switch. And it's like, that's like, as much as I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I would love all those games on Switch. Like, that console already exists.
Right.
And it's like, it's not my fault you didn't buy one. Like, whatever. It has 3 Zelda games, 2 Mario games. Well, Captain Toad, I guess, 3 Mario games. It has, you know, Bayonetta 1 and 2. It has the best Pikmin game. It has, you know, all these great games like Xenoblade X and Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Bayonetta 1 and 2, which is Game of the Year content.
Yeah, I'm just like, look, I'm not going to sit here and like try to convince people that the Wii U was a good system because, like, I understand why people don't like that tablet, but at the same time, like,
this is the thing, and I think I have stated this before, and I was talking to somebody else about this. Wii U was at a time that on PlayStation 3 and Xbox, of course, third party was supporting those other platforms that didn't want to support Nintendo. But once again, you got to remember, look how many studios got closed off of those other 2 platforms because they didn't meet. But then when Eastern third party started working more with Nintendo, they started making money.
Yeah. For me, like, the Switch is the proof of concept of the Wii U. And like, the Wii U is a great system, but the Wii U also had a weird controller, and like, it didn't exactly do what you needed it to do at sometimes, but at the same time it had a lot of amazing games, and like, you could play 90% of those games with the Pro controller. You could like, it has the best Mario Kart, it has the best Smash Brothers, it has, you know, it has 2 of the best Zelda games ever made on it. You know,
it had a strong library that was always going to stay with you, that you're not going to trade in. Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and third party, their games they came in and they went. They were rentable paid games.
Yeah, and
meaning that you paid $60 pretty much to rent them and then got rid of them the next day.
You go into GameStop, and like, I think this is terrible that they do this, but you go in there and like, Wii U games and Switch games are already selling more used than they were new. Like, you know, they already have copies of Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection in there for like $80. You know, they already have, you know, launch copies of, you know, A Binding of Isaac because they had that special cover. You know, they have it in there for like $60, and it's like,
and this is why, because you can't of those games are, that's telling you that those games are hard to find in that state or the stores around it.
Yeah,
and
it's again, like, we're not here to convince people to buy these platforms. Yeah. We're just super passionate about them as Nintendo as a company, and we feel like, you know, we don't need to convince people. What we do feel the need to defend the great ideas. Like, there's like, the Wii sold 1 million, like not 1 million. It sold like 100 million units, right? Yes. And I think, honestly, I think the Wii U is an infinitely better console than the Wii. Like, I just do.
Yeah,
I just do. You know, I've been on record saying a couple times that I really hate the Wii. Like, I hated it. Like, the only game I really thought worked on that console was Wii Sports, honestly. You know, like, it like Wii Sports, and then like Wii Play and Wii Sports Resort, all those games worked fine with the motion controls, but like,
yeah,
that's why I didn't finish Galaxy. It's why I didn't finish Skyward Sword. It's why I didn't finish Metroid Prime 3. Like, the motion controls broke that system for me, and I think the Wii U is an infinitely better console because it gave me a controller I could use.
I think the thing about it, definitely why I love the Wii and Wii U and the Switch and stuff, I still love Nintendo's innovation. I love the fact that they don't play it safe. They'll try something and they'll support it till they can't support it no more.
Yeah, and
Now,
that's what I was saying before you continue. Sorry, I just have like a little point. Like to like you, they are always innovating, and like what doesn't work, they try to improve on. I think the Switch improves on the Wii and the Wii U ideas in an infinitely better way than both of those consoles could do. It does motion controls right. It does the off TV screen play right. Like it does the tablet thing right. Everything, all the ideas compacted during the Wii and Wii U era of gaming. Even the 3DS, even like the DS era, like the Switch encompasses all of that into this one system that is amazing.
And think about it, the technology at each point in time that those systems were out, they were using old technology or some modify of that technology and getting the best out of it.
Yeah.
Now, even with Switch, with the technology that's used in there, some stuff don't have to be powerful. We talked earlier in our shows that sometimes a game art style and of the art style is still consistent with its frame rate is all that we sometimes need. We don't need 1080p or 4K. That does look at Xbox One X and look at PUBG. That's the most powerful console system, and PUBG is running at 10 frames per second at some points and have bugs in it.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 Pro.
That still baffles me, man, that the Xbox One X cannot make PUBG perform correctly. Oh my gosh, that just boggles my mind.
So if you guys want, and don't forget, I'm host of Arsenal X. I have to look at this stuff, and I had to talk about it. I had to defend it. I had to argue it. I had to research it and stuff. But it doesn't hurt me. But why of a system that's been marketing that's supposed to be powerful, and this also goes for PlayStation Pro, that they're still having these problems where with Nintendo, because they're not dealing with power and 4K graphics and all of this, that they're getting games that people are happy that are getting announced, that are enjoying these games that they're playing on, that are surprising and making a lot of money for any developers, that's getting a whole bunch of third-party Japanese developers onto the system, while Western third-party is slowly jumping on. Like, Switch right now is doing a lot for the gaming industry. And if you're a person who wants the industry to evolve and improve, look at what Nintendo was doing. They had whatever mistakes you feel like they made with the Wii U. Guess what? It's something that they learned to incorporate into their new system. Wii U didn't have HD Rumble support. It didn't have that. It had to deal with the technology that they have. Now, Switch is something that you could take on the go and play on, that you could take the controllers off, so that's saving you money when you have kids or you have a family. You got the Pro controller that feels really nice, so when you actually get playing Dragon Ball Fighter XV and stuff like that, or with the Street Fighter Anthology Collection, let's say Microsoft released Killer Instinct for Switch, do some kind of deal. You're gonna want that Pro controller because you're gonna want that good feel of a controller. There's so much that Switch is offering that the other two don't offer. That they build up on hype and they're still not delivering. So if you want if you need convincing of why to get a Switch, look at your other two platforms or your other platforms and see how satisfied you are with that. If they're not meeting your satisfaction and they're not giving you what you thought that you wanted, then go and pick up a Switch and see what that offers. Play with somebody else's Switch. Take another controller off and do some gaming on a friend's house on one tablet on the go or at somebody's house. Like, do some research and actually give this thing a try if you need convincing.
Yeah, and like, I love the Switch, and like, I don't need like 4K anything. Like, for me, the only reason why I upgraded to a PlayStation 4 Pro is because my launch PS4 like died on me. And I was like, for an extra $100, I might as well just get it. And like, it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't have like a 4K Blu-ray player in it or anything. Like, it makes my games run a little bit better. It makes my games look a little bit nicer. But at the same time, it's like games like Horizon look great regardless. And like, it doesn't matter to me if like, oh, I can see a couple more freckles on Aloy's face, or like, you know, it doesn't matter the draw distance because I can see so far anyway. Like, the Switch does interesting things because it takes these grand scale games like Zelda and Mario and Xenoblade and, you know, even Doom now and Wolfenstein. It takes these grand scale big games and allows me to play it on my TV and take it with me. And like, so many people, I think, want games on the Switch, want everything on the Switch, because so many people will sacrifice quality if they can take their games with them.
Yes.
And that's something we're learning, that okay, maybe there still is a dedicated space for like handheld gaming. You know, like when this system came out, I would have told you that they would be crazy to release another handheld system, but at the same time now it's like, well, there's a dedicated space for handheld gaming. Maybe they will try to put out a successor to the 3DS at some point. Maybe they will try to put out, I don't know, like a new version of the Game Boy. I think would be cool, to a cool throwback where like that maybe it looks like the Game Boy Advance, but it's more powerful, you know, maybe not as powerful as the Switch, but like, you know what I mean? So
yes.
I don't know, man. I don't need to sit here and try to convince people. I'm just saying, like, I love my Switch, and I think it does a lot of things way better than the technology that came before this. And it's the amalgamation of everything that the Wii and Wii U were trying to do, and it does it so much better, and it puts it in a nice little form factor in your hand. You can play it anywhere. So I don't know. And the games are great. That goes without saying. Nintendo games are great, and like, I don't care if they're sequels or new IP or anything. Like, Mario Odyssey is great. Legend of Zelda is arguably the greatest game ever made. You know, it has the games that are, man, did you see that meme going around that Nintendo had the last laugh because a Wii U game won Game of the Year?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was funny. But anyways, yeah, I love my Switch. I love the games. I like, you know, right now, like, this is a good transition into what we've been playing. Like, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Origins, and
Me
like,
too.
I would honestly give anything to be able to play that game in bed, doing the side quests and stuff, and like do what I did with Zelda, where like I would go do shrines and side quests and all these other things in bed, and then play the big story moments on my TV. Like, I would give anything to do that with Assassin's Creed, because that game is so big.
Yes.
But I can't, and that's a letdown. And I would give up 4K HDR everything if I could play that game in handheld mode sometimes. Like, I don't know.
I would give that up if I could just actually play a game that doesn't crash,
I know.
doesn't have bugs. And,
that whatever that last update they did, like a couple days ago, like my game has hard crashed 3 times since then. I'm like, man, this is the beginning of making the original Xbox One and the Xbox One S obsolete. This is the beginning. Like, ooh.
Well, this is the thing about it. I don't think it makes it obsolete. It is, once again, it's an Ubisoft problem.
It makes you wonder, because like PUBG's doing it, which is published by Microsoft. I've heard some rough things about Gears of War 4 lately, like with its newest update. Like, it's not just a Ubisoft problem.
I think with patches, I think regardless of what system that you own, it's within that game, because Ubisoft just has a problem with when they put a patch out, it breaks the game, and there are bugs. Like, it feels like they're the ones that need a patch for their patch. Because Watch Dogs 2, I have, if my video's still up, I have video of me falling through the sea while swimming. Doors wouldn't open up on some parts for the division and everything. It was just like, this is weird, and these are games that are selling. So I think it's a Ubisoft problem at this point in time with Assassin's Creed. It plays great. It's running fine now, but I'm just like, well, let's see. Okay, so you're just gonna freeze while the game is supposed to be saving. That's wonderful.
Yeah. But other than Assassin's Creed, man, that game is when it runs well, that game is great. It's
Yes.
definitely in Game of the Year conversation for me. It's not going to win for me, but it is. If we were to make a list of like a top 10 or a top 5, it's in those both of those lists for me. I I think it's got great characters. It's got great story moments between like in this huge world and this huge like worldwide conflict they seem to be trying to tackle. They have great personal moments with Bayek and Aya that you know are just they rival any relationship in video games to me, and it's just cool to see those moments play out. But other than Assassin's Creed, the Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC is
Rough.
man, that was trying to unlock the DLC was rough. Like, well, not unlocking it, but the first part to get to the Champions Ballad stuff was like the way it opens is like it. You have to return to the Shrine of Resurrection, and you get this new, like a champion's weapon, which deals damage. Like it kills enemies in one hit, but you also die in one hit, and so like you have to use it sparingly because it only has two. You only get two hits with it, so it's kind of like a state of emergency type weapon, and then it takes like 6 minutes to recharge. So I'm like hiding in these bushes using bomb arrows on all these enemies to try to get through. And then after like fighting like 20 to 25 enemies in each area, it feels like, and maybe it's less than that, but it felt like that because of like the time it took to take on this encounter. Like a shrine comes out of the ground, and then you have to fight your way through these shrines with one like and not die because you still only have one hit till you die. And then you complete all four of those shrines, and then there's four portals by each of the divine beasts already that take you into like probably I haven't gotten this far. I've just done the shrines, and like the portals take you to that character's storyline, I'm assuming. And so that's the next kind of venture into that game for me. I've put Xenoblade on hold until I can beat Breath of the Wild's Champions Ballad, because, dude, everything stops for Zelda for me. Like, if something new in Zelda comes out, I'm doing it right away. And before I do, like, the Champions Ballad stuff, I want to get the new costumes and the new items lying around, and there's, like, 7 or 8 quests that revolve around those items, so that's next on the list for me. But the last couple nights, I've just been playing Assassin's Creed and talking to you about all the cool Nintendo stuff because Nintendo doesn't really have voice chat. And like I know I could just turn on my Xbox and go into party mode and like just talk to you through my Xbox while I'm playing my Switch, but that's a lot of work. I don't feel like doing it.
And I apologize once again. It's like once I get focused on the game, it's different than when we do pod and play.
Oh, I know.
Then like I gotta tell people I get silent because I'm focusing so much on the game and stuff, and it's just like, well, like I want to participate in talking, and sometimes I can't because my mind is focused on the game and stuff. Because we could have podcast almost yesterday night about some things.
The last 2 nights, honestly.
Yes.
And like maybe we'll start doing that in 2018 where we just kind of like just talk and play at the same time and kind of maybe stream it or something. Like maybe that's what we'll do. Which, by the way, starting next week, testing the NGR Radio Twitch channel. I think we're going to start live streaming all of our shows.
Yay!
So next week up until the new year, it's like a tentative kind of test run. But in 2018, I want to have a full on. We're streaming our live show. We're streaming our shows live on Twitch. So if you want to go to twitch.tv/NGR Radio and subscribe or follow, or I don't know how that works. I can't keep up with all these special words everybody uses to just subscribe. So hit whatever word that is to follow us, and you can watch us live when we record the day before. So, or a couple days before or whatever. So, yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun there. But Ed, what have you been playing besides Assassin's Creed? Because
so Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm playing, getting a little bit further in that. Getting a little bit more further in Yokai Watch, enjoying myself, literally laughing at this game and enjoying it. Feels such like a kid. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has got to be one of the most well-written, anime cliche, hilarious in almost everything in this game that I enjoy. I love the grinding, but just some of the stuff that is going on, it just makes me howl in laughter, and I'm loving this game. And I know, like Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm glad that's going to be in the discussion, but I'm bringing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to the discussion. And I know a certain person has posted a certain answer, but I told him just wait, he shall see. Very good friend of ours, and I still have to podcast with this person about a certain game for PlayStation. You should know what it is right now. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like giving me life for role-playing games, and I'm so happy because with Ni no Kuni 2 being pushed back to March, I now have time to really focus on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm just like, oh, yes, okay, I could breathe playing this game. Now, if Project Octopath drops sometime before Ni no Kuni, I'm going to have to like really rush through Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I'm trying to not get everything, but I'm just trying to grind and do a lot of side quests, get my player up, and get them strong, just find a lot of blades, and just enjoy my time in this beautiful game because it still looks beautiful. I don't care if people say that it looks dated or whatever they feel like about the graphics. This game looks beautiful. I love the environments. I love the fights that I could get into. I love the party that I'm rolling with. Once again, the voice acting is good, and I can't wait to play more of this game. I actually started playing it off the dock. Like I took it to work this morning when I was dropping my sister off. When I was waiting for her, I was playing a little bit of it, being beating these wolves, but because of me finding the wolves, an ape decided just on his own to come jump in. But the ape is at level 54, and I'm just like, oh, that's wonderful. I'm at level 14. Nice. And you just want to jump in, but I am enjoying that game. So I am making progress. Still learning about the mechanics and stuff. And just going with the flow, and like I said, really, really enjoying this. So I really like the fact that they give you different blades, and those different blades are the weapons that you are going to be using. Because I've been switching from Pyra to my other blade, and I think I probably got two more or one more that I need to get, because I don't know how many you could carry at a time that you could set. But right now, I personally got two blades, and love the fact that once you get that other blade filled up, you can switch it at any time and then use that blade if need so, and change up your strategy. But enjoying Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm supposed to be getting to Neo and Super Lucky Cell. I am going to be doing that at the time of this recording after it. I'm going to be playing a little bit, trying to do an hour play of it. And then when we do our next show, I will give you guys more feedback for it.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
Yeah, and I still need to get back to Fire Emblem Warriors. I really want to just get through that game because I'm in love with everything about it too. Love beating up the enemies. So
Nice. Oh man, games, all the games. So, all right, let's get into these news stories. Let's just get through these because we have a very big question block for you guys today. So these news stories are going to be pretty quick if I can get to them. All right, so like we mentioned at the top of the show, Rocket League Special Edition is coming to Nintendo Switch on January 16th. This is the physical copy. It is already available digitally. For an extra $10, the physical copy will have Rocket League full game, the Supersonic Fury DLC pack, Revenge of the Battle Cars DLC pack, Chaos Run DLC pack, Aftershock DLC car, Marauder DLC car, Esper DLC car, and the Masamune DLC car, and then finally customization items inspired by DC Comics, The Flash, and a limited edition art print by Sonic's concept artist Jay Zhang. So cool. It is coming on January the 16th, and you can own it for $39.99. So, yeah, Rocket League coming to Switch in physical form. It'll sit right there nicely between, let's see, Resident Evil Revelations and Splatoon on my shelf. I'm trying to think of alphabetically where it would sit. So, are you getting Rocket League for Switch when it comes?
Yes. Even though I don't need to buy it for other systems, I'm definitely getting it for Switch.
Well, Ed, let's get into some sales numbers. The Nintendo Switch officially sells 10 million units.
Yay!
Despite launching in March, a month not usually reserved for home console launches, and with the busy holiday shopping season still in full swing, the Nintendo Switch system has already sold 10 million units in the according to Nintendo's internal sales. This puts it on pace to outsell the Wii U before its first year on the market is finished. Good time to buy a Switch. Everybody should buy one. There's my convincing for this episode.
That's really good to hear that they sold 10 million, and this is just before holiday sales. Like the Switch is the hot product for 2018 for consoles.
Here's how I look at it, right? The holiday season's not over. Parents are buying it. Kids that don't get a Switch will be saving their gift cards they get for Christmas. So I think like sales through January, I think it'll probably sell that many units before January's over. So yeah, Switch is selling a ton of units. Good job, Nintendo. Good on you.
Yes.
Good on you. Speaking of sales numbers, Ed, Mario Odyssey, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Mario Kart 8 have each sold over 5 million copies apiece. And that's pretty impressive considering Mario Odyssey's only been out for 6 weeks.
Yes. And it literally after Black Friday, it became one of the hardest games to find. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will probably say, well, did it come in my area? Yeah. Because like stores in Illinois and where I'm at, you couldn't find one at all. When they came in and if someone saw it, it was gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and coming in just at 2.5 million copies is Splatoon 2, and coming in just under the 2 million mark are ARMS, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and selling 1.2 million copies is Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yay!
So, Nintendo first-party sales are doing amazing as well.
Yes. Now, people, just pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah.
Let's push it to that million.
I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is going to sell better than X and 1.
Yeah, it would. If the collector's edition has sold out so well that you can't find it nowhere, that's great sales because that's $100 right there. But people picking up the original version, like that's becoming harder to find. Like people are really enjoying that game. So if Nintendo could, if we could keep seeing a lot of shipment of games, and you know those shipment sales, start coming through. Like we shipped 10 million, and all the 10 million are gone. That's good for the Switch. That's positive for Nintendo, and even for you third party and indie developers that doing physical copies. So
Yeah. Uh, so also, there's a couple big games coming to Switch. Just to make note, like we said at the top of the show, on February 27th, Payday 2 is coming to Switch, and then at a later date, Wasteland 2 Director's Cut is also coming to Switch, which is pretty impressive. So
yeah, and it's funny on how they announced the Wasteland 2. They had it like the title screen running on the Switch, almost just like the Outlast.
That seems to be the way to announce Switch games is for the company to tweet out a picture of the Switch with their title screen on it.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, so many Switch games, a lot of news, a lot of. Man, this deep into December, I didn't think we were going to have a lot to talk about, and we still continue to have a lot to talk about. So.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's kind of all the news bits we have. I'm sure there's more. I just want to get through these question block questions because we have a lot, and I'm sure it's going to spur a lot of conversation between Ed and I like to talk. So yeah, question block. You can tweet at NGR Radio Podcast with the hashtag PalBlock. You can also email us at nintendopalblock@gmail.com or look for our question threads on the NGR Radio and PalBlock Facebook groups, facebook.com/groups/NintendoPalBlock. Check it out. Go there. Join the community. Join the conversation. It's a good time. So, without further ado, our first question comes from the man, the myth, the legend, the man with the glasses, Todd Oxtra.
Love you, Todd.
Secret Friends Unite podcast. You should go check it out for all your TV, comic book, all kinds of fun stuff. Man, I wonder how they feel about that Marvel Fox deal. I'm sure if you subscribe to their podcast, you can find out what they think about it.
Yes.
I can tell you, I don't think Todd's going to be very happy. So,
I had to talk to him and get the scoop on what he thinks. I can't wait to hear him.
To be fair, I'm not super excited for that deal. I mean, look, everybody's looking at it as like, yay, X-Men can be in the MCU, yay. And it's like, yeah, I get it. But as someone who's a bigger fan of the X-Men movies and Deadpool than I am of the MCU, I'm just like, I don't really want that side of it to end just because like they seem to be on an uptrend in that universe where like they kind of dropped a little bit with Apocalypse and X-Men Origins, but they're on an upward trend with Deadpool and Logan, and Dark Phoenix kind of looks like it's going to be interesting, and New Mutants looks interesting. So like, I really don't want that universe to end either. But at the same time, maybe the MCU can use characters that the X-Men universe isn't using right now. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the X-Men universe is on an upswing, and I don't really want Disney to be messing with that right now. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure it'll all work out in the end just fine, and everybody will be making their money, and everybody will be watching these movies forever. So,
yeah.
Back to Nintendo. Todd Oxtra asks, what games should Nintendo release next year? What should they release next year?
Okay. Well,
big franchises. Top of my list. Pikmin. It's been in development. Was originally in development for Wii U. Now in development for Switch. Probably close to being done. Pikmin World or Pikmin 4 or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
The rumored Donkey Kong game needs to be shown and released next year. And finally, for me, Smash Brothers and Mario Maker are the two big games I think need to come to Switch. I don't care in what form. I don't care if they're ports. I don't care if they're new games. They need to come to Switch next year to keep the momentum going. Those are the four big titles I think Nintendo themselves need to release next year.
Okay. So
Here comes Ed.
for me, Earthbound 3 used to come to Nintendo Switch.
Nobody cares about Earthbound.
I'm going to hit Dragon Punch you.
Nobody really cares about Earthbound. It's the mirror's edge
going
of Nintendo franchises.
Shut it!
People like to
Smack.
talk, and then when it comes out, people are like, oh, this game actually is not great.
That is true. But I think Earthbound 3 should still come out. Captain Rainbow, a game that came out in Japan that never came here. That looks very kooky. I think people want some very kooky
Ed's making
Japanese
up names
games.
now.
The Secret of Mana collection. Are we just talking about Nintendo themselves? Or
Yeah, because we have
Okay.
we have the Square.
Okay. So-
We have that Square question later on, so save your Secret of Mana for that.
okay, so Earthbound 3, the Captain Rainbow should come out, and I think a Vest War collection. I would love to see a Vest War. I would love to see that collection on Switch come out. That would be really cool. Last but not well, not so much last but not least. Of course, hopefully we get GameCube for Virtual Console.
Yeah.
Like Virtual Console, I would definitely love to see. Because I was gonna say Baten Kaitos that came out, but that's from Namco. And
With the success, I want to ask you about Baten Kaitos. With the success of Xenoblade seemingly going well on Switch, do you think it's time to bring back Baten Kaitos, or do you think they make a deal with Sega and bring back Skies of Arcadia? Sorry. Do you think that? Do you think Baten Kaitos would be successful on Switch with the success of Xenoblade seemingly?
I think so. Yes. If Namco releases it on GameCube Virtual Console, it will. It literally will. Like $15. I still feel like $15 for GameCube games will make a good profit for those companies that missed it, because Baten Kaitos, regardless of what the reviews and sales was, a lot of people say it's really good, but there just wasn't no visibility about it. So that was one of the problems for that game, was the visibility. Like really, maybe GameStop and maybe one other store like Target or something may have got a copy of it, and then that was it. Like a lot of people didn't even realize that the game came out, and didn't really feel like picking it up. So I think this re-release from GameCube Virtual Console would do it more justice. So
nice. There was something else I think they should release too.
The Punch Out for Wii.
Yeah, I was
With the motion controller. Yeah.
I think a new Punch Out would be great, and like the only thing is like we already have the motion boxing game in Arms, so like how would you differentiate Punch Out from Arms? But at the same time, I really want a new Punch Out, and like I think they could do something really cool with Punch Out. Like if they took the time and kind of like remember when EA used to make Fight Night all the time, and
Yes.
how you would go through like a career and upgrade your boxer and kind of like make your boxer to your own fighting style and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wouldn't mind them doing that with Punch Out, but at the same time, it's like Punch Out has a very specific cadence to it. It's more of like a puzzle game than it is a fighting game. Like, you know, you have to like recognize the enemy's moves, and their movement's very deliberate, and you counter when you see the right moves and stuff. So like I don't know how you would really do that, but I don't know, man. Punch Out would be cool. What I would really like to see, honestly, would be a crossover and be like Punch Out versus Ready to Rumble boxing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like, just because Nintendo's been doing weird crossovers for some reason, and like that seems like a normal weird one to do.
Yeah.
Plus, like, people have a lot of weird nostalgia for Ready to Rumble boxing. So, who does Ready to Rumble? Sega?
No, Midway.
Midway. So
Yeah,
what?
so
What? Who?
it
Probably.
would be Warner Brothers
Yeah.
because Midway turned into NetherRealms because
Yeah.
Midway went bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Bankrupt.
So yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah, I really want a new Ready to Rumble. I think Ready to Rumble is cool, but like Dreamcast N64 Ready to Rumble, not the weird Wii one that came out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our next question comes from longtime fan Megan Green. She says,
Yay!
"There are so many good Switch games out now and coming soon. How do you guys pick and choose which games to get while staying current with Nintendo and other consoles too?"
We pretty much make our own individual lists, and we just
AKA Ed stole my list when I sent it to him.
well, I mean, you still have. I mean, we talk about these games and we look forward to purchasing them. And I know for me, I always say I'm gonna go and purchase, and I'm gonna go purchase them. And sometimes I just lose track, and other things come up. But I do get to those games that I need to buy. When it comes to me picking and choosing, my first thing is, hey, is it going to come into my job? Or if it's a special edition. For Nintendo, when I find out that the pre-order is available, I go and pre-order at my closest GameStop. But if that game comes into my job, it's a day one purchase. Like I would literally save money aside to get that game.
Yeah.
And people know that I did that with Bayonetta. I did that with Xenoblade Chronicles X. I did that with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, our Fire Emblem, collection. Like when these games drop for a Switch or any Nintendo product for that matter, I go and buy them. Now, if I do miss that initial release, I do wait and I'll probably catch it up on a sale, like a buy one get one 40, and just be like, okay, now I know what I need to get and stuff to fix it. And when it comes to my other consoles, I know that that game is coming out, but I could wait for it. When it comes to video games, the Nintendo part takes priority over the other games because sometimes they'll get a digital sale, or it'll drop down in price maybe a month or two later. So I don't have to stay current on that game until all the patches and stuff get fixed, and the discussion somewhat dies down or a discussion isn't being created. I'll go and pick up those other games and stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, it's like, man, wow, throat's dry. For me, I'm like, Nintendo's really the only console I like feel obligated to stay up to date on because of the shows we do. Like for NGR, like I don't really feel like I need to stay current with things because that show isn't built around news or new games or whatever. It's just built around conversations that we like to have about video games. Or like, Arsenal X, like I can pick up a game here and there and we can talk about it because usually the game I pick up is current or somewhat current or some sort of games as service type game. So like, that's the benefit of PlayStation and Xbox, where like those games are, a lot of the games I play on those platforms are games as service, like Halo 5, Gears 4, The Division, Destiny. Those games are all ongoing, and Jesse plays Rainbow Six Siege and Ghost Recon, and those games still have content rolling out. So like Assassin's Creed is like the newest game for Xbox that I've played, and it's like, I don't really need to stay current on those games because they're ongoing. So Nintendo, and on top of that, like Nintendo is the console I'm most passionate about, so I really want to keep my focus on that system.
And for those who have an Xbox One, and you are really on the budget, the Game Pass, $10 a month. That's a really good way to get the games, whether that's old or some games that you miss. It's a good way to be able to have a good library of games in your collection.
And like the Xbox Game Pass just added Gears of War 4, Darksiders, War Mastered, Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, and there's another big game that they just added. And it's like, to that degree, like, look, I don't need to keep up on everything. I just, I can't because financially we're not supported by anything. We're not signed up with the FCC. We're not signed up as like partners with any of these companies and stuff. So there's that. But at the same time, Nintendo is the company that I want to focus on because that's the console I play the most. Those are the games I'm most interested in. And that's where my money goes. And I make a list of games that, I'm going to need to keep up on. I have a list of games that I need to keep up on and talk about on the show. And I have a list of games that like I would like to have eventually and play. Like next week, I'm probably going to purchase Yooka-Laylee so we can talk about it next week. Like that's the plan.
Yeah.
I said Ed like the other day when we were talking on Xbox Live chat, I was like, Ed, I need a list of indie games, and like we were throwing indie games back and forth so I can complete my list of indie games because from now until Bayonetta comes out for Switch, like there's games I'm going to buy in between there, but I want to be able to catch up on the indies that I missed this year because I spent most of my money on the AAA box copies because like some of them are already becoming harder to find, like we talked about earlier, Binding of Isaac, that original copy is really hard to find, or Super Bomberman for some reason is really hard to find in my area. Like there are games that have not been reprinted and are getting really hard to find, and I'm gonna have to buy another memory card. So like, I did not like. I thought 128 was gonna be big enough. I need that 400 gig memory card that just came out, and it's expensive, and I don't know if I should wait for the 1 terabyte, but at the same time, it's like I might as well just get it now because I'm going to be able to use it in something else eventually anyway. So,
right.
Especially because like Resident Evil Revelations takes up 26 gigs. LA Noire has a big download patch. Doom had a little bit of a download patch. NBA 2K18 had a big patch. So like, my memory card's filling up fast, and none of them are Nintendo games. Like none of the patches are Nintendo games, but like, if third party is going to continue to support Switch, I'm going to need that bigger patch. You don't know how big that Wolfenstein 2 patch is going to be. Like that's a big game, and you don't know how big of a download Bayonetta 1 is going to be. I'm assuming it's only going to be like maybe 10 or 12 gigs, but still on a 128 memory card, that's 10% of the memory card. So my next purchase is probably going to be a memory card and some indies that I miss, especially like Yooka-Laylee, SteamWorld Dig 2. Those are games that I miss, and not to mention SteamWorld Dig Heist comes out at the end of the month, which is a great game. So I actually like SteamWorld Heist better than SteamWorld Dig, just because I like the strategy element more than the like I like the Metroid style games, but SteamWorld Dig, like when you can create your own path and do your own thing while adding the Metroid element to it, that's a little bit too much for me. But I do want to support that studio because I think they do great work. So, and I want to give SteamWorld Dig 2 its due. So, but that's how I kind of keep up with things. And on Xbox, I'm gonna get Cuphead. So like, there are games I will go out of my way to get on Xbox, but at the same time, like, I need to stay focused on this show because this show is like, out of the 3 console shows that we do, this show is my priority. So, that's kind of how I balance it. I make a list, and like when it's available, like right now, I have 9 games pre-ordered on Amazon just for next year, or beyond. So let's see, what do I have pre-ordered? I have Redout pre-ordered, which is the Wipeout style game that's coming. Blade Strangers, which is a fighting game. Wolfenstein 2, Bayonetta collection, Gear Club Unlimited, that's another game that's getting a physical copy in January. Wonder Boy, physical copy. Project Octopath Traveler, Metroid Prime 4, Yoshi, Kirby, Battle Chasers, and the Atelier RPG. So, I mean, that's Switch is the console I play the most because, me and my wife, our TV room is different than the the room that I'm recording in, obviously. So like I like take my Switch out there while we're watching some show that she's really into and I'm not that interested in. You know,
Yes.
like we enjoy watching shows together, but like I don't really care about TV. Like I could like honestly until we started living together, I didn't even have cable for like 7 or 8 years. So like there was a point where like Netflix and Hulu were kind of like my only source of TV. So I was just like, TV's kind of like a background noise, and that's when I discovered Game Informer Replay and stuff, that things that I could have playing in the background while I'm playing a game, right? So to me, like TV's more background noise, and I like to sit there and play my Switch while we're watching TV. So I love, dude, I love the Switch so much. I just love it.
Yes.
I'm like getting really excited and like hyped just thinking about it. Oh, dude, my blue Joy-Cons look so good. They look so
I
good.
love
They
that.
look
Like
so
I
good.
said, that picture that you posted is so beautiful. I love that. I was just like, this is Power Block right here. Yeah, the blue Joy-Cons. Yes.
Yeah.
I have to get my yellow ones. I keep seeing them at Best Buy, and we actually did get some at my job, but someone
No,
brought them up quickly.
I want the yellow ones really bad. Like I just want to have them because I think that yellow looks cool and it looks better in person than it does like in
Yes.
picture. So that's all the Joy-Cons though. Like the neon red and greens, like I was like, nah, I don't really want those. But when I saw the blue in person, they're actually a little bit darker than what pictures show them as, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
ooh, perfect. And like I know I've told that story before, but I went into GameStop and they had a pair of blue ones because the customer that bought the neon, the neon Switch, traded in his blue ones because like he bought an extra set of red and blues to go with his red and blues, but then he turned around and traded the blue ones in because he only wanted the red ones. He traded those in towards Zelda. So like I got a brand new set of blue Joy-Cons for like the used price, and it was like, yes, thank you. So anyways, yeah.
Yes.
That was a detour. Our next question comes from Anthony Cantu from the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Nintendo Power Block. Go there. With Square coming out and saying they want to bring old games that were never on any Nintendo platform before to the Switch, which game would you want them to remaster port to the Switch? I have a long list for this question. Okay, I sat like this question was posted last night, and I sat in bed thinking about this question, and I know your answer is going to be different. So I want to get mine out of the way because I know games that would fit on the Switch. So they've already teased Final Fantasy 15. I want Final Fantasy 15 on Switch. I want Kingdom Hearts 1, like the collections on Switch. I want Kingdom Hearts 3 on Switch. I want Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider on Switch. I don't know if like they still have the distribution rights to this, but I want Hitman Season 1 on Switch. I want Final Fantasy I want all the old Final Fantasies on here. I want the Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 HD collection. I want Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age on this system.
Yes.
You know, we were talking, I think, you know, a smart thing to do with like after Octopath Traveler comes out, that team goes and remasters Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that engine. That's what I want. I'm sorry, that was a long list. But I think it was a good list. And I think it's a perfectly plausible list. Maybe not all of them, but I certainly see some of them. The number 1, 2, and 3 on my list, though.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I put those together. Number 1. Final Fantasy 15, I think would be a huge get for Switch. And the Kingdom Hearts collection are the 3 like main ones I want. But all those other ones, I think they're viable. The work's already done on Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 HD. Work's already done on the Zodiac Age, Final Fantasy 12. It's already there. It's already done. Just give it to me. Just put it on that little cartridge. It's fine. It's fine. Sorry, you can go ahead now.
Okay. Ironheart. I think that's the name of it. It was a vertical shooter. No, vertical horizontal. It was a 2D shooter that was on PlayStation 1. Very hard game. We need it's in a realm of art type if you want to look at it that way. I would love to see that game come. I would love to see a remake of Chrono Trigger come to Switch. Or
in the Octopath Traveler engine.
Yes.
That engine.
So,
that's another game I flipped on for about 20 minutes the other day. Was the Octopath Traveler demo, and I was playing the other character.
Yeah,
dude, that game is so pretty.
Oh, I cannot wait for that game.
It looks like everything looks like super amazing. The art looks like those flip books that you used to get in the images would like pop out of the page, like stand up out of the page, and then you fold the page over and the new images would pop up. That game looks like a picture perfect pop-up book. Oh, I love it so much. Sorry, continue. Sorry. I keep interrupting. Sorry.
Dragon Quest VIII, I would love for them to bring the Switch. Because as much as I love that game on my 3DS, and as much as I love it on PS2, PS2 when I played the original version, I would love for that to be on Switch on a bigger screen. It needs a little bit more attention with that. Or even Dragon Quest 11 and Dragon Quest 9, I would love to see ported to Switch when that comes of that era happens. This is going to be so stupid, but what was that beat 'em up game that came from PlayStation 2 that didn't nobody like?
The Bouncer.
The Bouncer.
I love The Bouncer, dude. That game was amazing. But it was awesome.
I could see that as a 1999 port.
Can we just get a sequel? Switch. Can we get the Bouncer remastered and then a straight sequel to Switch, and it'd just be everybody's favorite bad game again? Please. Dude, that game was awesome. I still have my copy of The Bouncer. It was the first game I bought. The first 3 games I bought for PS2 were The Bouncer, Madden 2001, and NBA Live 2001.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, goodness.
And then I turned around and bought Final Fantasy IX because...
Yes, Final Fantasy IX needs to be on Switch.
Oh, dude. Yeah, dude. I want the one that they released on PS4 recently looks so good. And, just bring that version over. Oh, man. Final Fantasy IX, to me, is the best Final Fantasy. I don't care what anybody says. It's better than to be fair, I haven't played Final Fantasy 3/6, but it's better than that. It's better than 7. It's better than 8. It's better than 10. It's better than 1. I don't know. It's the best. 9's the best.
Yeah. I would love to see Final Fantasy 3/6 to come to Switch. Definitely Final Fantasy 10 and definitely 12. If they could do a collection of Final Fantasy 13, I could see that. I can see that happening, being a port to Switch.
Oh, like a Final Fantasy 13 collection?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that too. That was the other one on one of my lists. I actually I don't mind 13. I thought 19 was a decent game, honestly. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but at the same time, it's that game was not bad, honestly.
And I think Drakengard was something that was on for Squaresoft, I think, or Square Enix. Don't quote me on that, but I would love to. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, so I would love to see that come to Switch because of Nier Automata coming and stuff. Or actually, the original Nier, I would love to see it come to Switch if it can happen. Lara Croft Go and Hitman Go, I believe, should be ported to Switch. That's a good fit for it.
Yeah.
And of course Rise and Tomb Raider. But I think that one Tomb Raider also, the Legend of Tomb Raider Legends or something that came out for PS2 and Xbox. It was her second or third reboot.
It was like the reboot before the reboot. Tomb Raider. It was Legends, and then they remade Tomb Raider 1 as Anniversary, Tomb Raider Anniversary, which was like it was like a kind of a remake, but it was more of like a retelling of the first game. And it somehow like they linked the first game into the Legends timeline, and then Underworld was actually like a really solid old school style Tomb Raider game where like everything that they were trying to do with those games just kind of came together. And man, I love Underworld. Underworld was really good. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing those games come over. Or you know what else? Speaking of those, like I'm just thinking of like the PS3 trilogy collections that came out.
Uh-huh.
The Prince of Persia trilogy collection, HD trilogy collection.
By Ubisoft?
Yeah, like the Sands of Time trilogy.
Oh, yes.
Because they released that on PS3, right? That and the Tomb Raider HD trilogy all came out at the same time. They both came out on the same day. And I was like, man, $80 for 6 games, sure. So,
Right.
yeah. Anyways, so that
And I guess a remake of Chrono Cross.
nah, fine.
Oh, and the Secret of Mana trilogy and remake.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, the PS4 remake that they're doing, right? The one that's for PS4 and Vita, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should do that. Or they could just bring that trilogy, the remaster trilogy thing from Japan. They just localize it.
So I think three new announcements actually for games just popped on. I don't know if you've seen it. Tactical RPG Regalia of Man and Monarchs is coming to Switch Q1 2018. Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion is selling onto Switch in spring 2018. And Tacoma Recut brings Korean survival horror to Switch next week. And that is on Nintendo Life. And also, everybody check out the 2DS XL Pikachu edition that's going to Europe if you're interested.
Nice. All right, our next question comes from... Who does it come from? Where's my question? Where's my questions? Sorry.
So this is from Jeff Glasson.
Jeff Glasson.
What are the must-have / necessary accessories for someone buying the Switch? Corey, you could go ahead and answer this because me and you said the same. We brought this conversation up and said the same thing, so you can give the answer.
Yeah, Pro controller definitely, especially if you're playing on TV. I think the Pro controller is a no-brainer. I know it's a little bit more expensive than normal controller, like a Xbox 3 or Xbox One or PS4 controller, but at the same time it's probably the most comfortable controller on the market. It's a no-brainer, you know, and Amazon has it on sale all the time. It's under $60 all the time. So if you go to Amazon, like even if you don't buy it right now, like Amazon has it on sale all the time. And they have cool special edition ones, like the Xenoblade Chronicles one looks really cool, and the Splatoon 2 one is pretty cool. So Pro controller is a no-brainer. A case is a no-brainer. There are specific cases out there, like the Hori cases, HORI. Those cases are probably the best one because the cases on the outside are canvas, but inside it's full of like rubber, and it has the flap that protects the screen. You know, so that's really nice. The flap inside that holds the games also protects the screen, so that's really nice. Tempered glass screen protector is a must. You know, they come in like 2 or 3 packs, and they're on sale on Amazon every day. They're like $8 for a 2-pack, so definitely get that. And then maybe an extra AC adapter. I would I would consider that too, especially if you're planning on playing it in handheld mode. Just because bigger games like Zelda specifically and Xenoblade chew that battery. If you're playing indies, like the battery lasts forever. You know, indies,
Yes.
like the battery lasts probably like 5 or 6 hours. If you're playing smaller games like Shovel Knight, SteamWorld Dig don't take up battery, but Zelda, Xenoblade take up a ton of battery. Like, it just sucks it up. Mario Odyssey wasn't too bad for me. That game's well optimized for the Switch. Wasn't too bad. Mario Kart's not extremely awful. You know, my wife and I played Mario Kart on an airplane, like a 3-hour plane ride, and didn't lose, like, we didn't recharge it. So, yeah, those are kind of like the main accessories. And then maybe a cool headset that you just plug into the top. You can just listen to it, and yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I will add colored Joy-Cons. If you got the gray one, I think the colored Joy-Cons would be awesome to have too.
Yeah,
just
the colored Joy-Cons are cool. I would just just wait till they become available in the spring, because like they are really hard to find right now. And I got lucky finding these blue ones, but the blue ones on Amazon are not available through Amazon, and they are the most expensive ones through like a third-party seller. So
just if you do go shopping and you see them, snag them up, because sometimes, once again, people forget that these things are in other retail stores. And if you go to the main ones, you don't see it there. You might want to go to a retail that nobody thinks about, and it might just show up and be right there when you least expect it. Just saying.
Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, that just games, man. Games. It's
And you said the micro SD card, right?
Oh yeah, micro SD card is a no-brainer too. If you're planning on using it for indies, I think a 128 should suffice. And knowing Jeff, like, his third-party games are going to be on PS4, so I wouldn't worry too much. Maybe, like, a lot of people got 64 gig memory cards. I would go ahead and splurge for the 128, especially because of all the indies that are out and coming out. You know,
yes.
You'll future-proof yourself. They're not very expensive either. I think Amazon had them on sale during Black Friday for like $40. So, you know, they go up and down in price, but the 128 is what I have, and it works well for me so far. But then again, I am also getting third-party games on my Switch, like Doom and LA Noire and stuff. So, you know, kind of like mentally make a list of like what games you want for the Switch in terms of download only stuff, and then kind of go from there. But my recommendation would be a 128 micro SD card, and it's super simple. You just pop the kickstand out, and the card insert is right there, and it spring loads in. So yeah. Okay, so more questions. I hope that helped. I know it's like 3 hours into this podcast, but I hope that helped. Sam Prockerton.
Yes.
Do you, in the email he sent me, he said, been listening for a while. Thanks for the great show. But I didn't include that in this message. So thanks.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
So he says, do you think we'll ever get a Switch 2.0 or their version of an Xbox One X or PS4 Pro, or even a quote new Switch similar to the 3DS? How will you adjust to that when it comes?
Can I answer first?
Yeah.
We won't get a new Switch 2.0. There's no need.
Not anytime soon, at least.
If Nintendo was going to do a new version of a console, they're just going to bring out a new console.
Yeah.
There's pretty much nothing that they could do right now, but just provide updates to make the system run faster, do better. I said Corey when I was talking to him, there's some kind of engine that's coming to Switch for developers to make their games look better. And I that's big news. So if they could provide stuff like that for Switch, there wouldn't be no need for Switch 2.0. For Xbox One and PlayStation 4, they're trying to give somewhat power to the third party, so they could bring those developers to their system and make games look better, not really play better, but look better. Some performance issues to make it run better, and but nothing really major. They're just doing it for stuff to look better. Because like we stated earlier, if Player Unknown Battleground isn't running that good on Xbox One X, and you need 100 plus some gig for a 4K patch for the system, it really wouldn't matter what system that you're going to be playing on and having. So it wouldn't even matter. Nintendo just wants to improve on that one console. Now, something like 3DS, the reason why they probably improved it, because definitely with games like Monster Hunter, they need that analog to get it better. So normally with the DS or with their handhelds, they improve that over years, trying to make it look and work better. Not so much with their consoles. Now, how will I adjust to it if it ever happens? Me who work in the retail business, I just have to tell customers, be like, this is the newer version. They stop making the old versions and go about my business that way. I'm still gonna be playing my original version of Switch. Won't be no need to upgrade it. Because even if it was like a Switch XL, it doesn't do me no justice that I have a bigger system when it's wide enough when I take it off and it looks good, and when I play it on my TV, I get the full package. So it doesn't do anything better if they would have did a part 2. So I wouldn't even have the need to adjust for that.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think the Switch is doing fine right now. I think maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, here's the thing for me. If it depends on if third parties continue to support the Switch, honestly. And at that point, 4 or 5 years down the road, I think they will make a new console that is backwards compatible with Switch. And at that point, I think the Switch's lifespan will be kind of, I don't want to say over, but kind of moving into a new generation already, because Nintendo always releases a new system 4 to 5 to 6 years after. That's been their cadence since the NES. So at that point, yeah, I don't know. I think the Switch is, how do you capitalize on this concept again, is more of the question for me, instead of do we need something that's more powerful inside? And maybe we'll get that, maybe we won't. I don't think Nintendo's in a big hurry to do that, because their games run fine. Their indie games run great. Their games run great. And third party, if they want to be on Switch, need to adjust to that. So if third party continues to support the Switch, we might see a quote unquote new Switch 3 years down the road, and people who haven't bought one will just buy that one now, and then early adopters will either upgrade or say, you know what, I'm fine with this. It's going to be similar to the 3DS. A lot of people were fine with their 3DS, and look, the only people that upgraded were people who either A, wanted a bigger 3DS, or B, wanted the few exclusives to that console, or wanted to play Super Nintendo games on their 3DS, And I just, I bought a new 2DS because I didn't care about the 3D, and it just happened to have the new stuff in it. So it's for me, if they did that, I would probably get one and let my wife play the old one, because she plays Mario Kart and stuff like that on there, and it probably, I'd keep it, but at the same time, it's I don't really think we're gonna get one. I don't think we're gonna get a redesign or a new reissue or anything. Even though Nintendo has a weird history of doing that with consoles, I don't think we're gonna get one for Switch. I just don't. Except for the simple fact that the Tegra 2 chip is super cheap now, which is the chip they probably should have gone with in this system. And the Tegra 3 is coming out soon. So maybe, but doubtful. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay. New question. Our next question comes from Brad Thompson. With the success of the Switch, is it time that Nintendo drop the DS systems and push everyone in a single hardware platform?
Nope. That's all I gotta say. Nope.
Yep. My answer is yes.
No.
My answer is yes. I think Nintendo. Okay. Here's the thing, though.
Should we battle?
No. Here's my realistic answer to that question.
The
3DS has a lot of great games on it, right?
Yeah.
I think Nintendo first party development focusing on Switch primarily. I think all their first party studios are working on Switch. That said, Nintendo has done some interesting things with licensing out their IP for 3DS development. Samus Returns is a good example. The Mario and Luigi remake is a good example. There's a lot of games still coming out for the 3DS that are, like the B teams of studios, like Ultra Sun and Moon is another great example of primary team working on Switch games. B tier team working on the sequel to Sun and Moon. That's the direction I think the 3DS is going to go. I don't want to say the quality
from a first party perspective.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting there. Just listen. I don't want to say the quality of the games are going to dip because I don't think that's how it works. I've always said that Nintendo used the DS and the 3DS to experiment with things, and then if that experiment works out, they make a quote-unquote proper version for their console. Metroid Prime Federation Force is my prime example of that. I made a Prime joke. Metroid Prime Federation Force, cool multiplayer idea. People were mad because we didn't get Metroid Prime 4 yet. Guess what? Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. I would love a Metroid Prime Federation Force on the Switch at some point. Personally, I think that game was fun. I think it was great. I think it was not optimized for the system it was on. That said, Switch has dual analog sticks, has a proper controller that can handle first-person shooters, has a cool loot-based driven IP like Metroid Prime Federation Force could be a cool multiplayer game on Switch someday. I think that a lot of up-and-coming developers, indie developers, third-party developers with like either training teams or having a team of younger developers will still develop for the 3DS. And I think a lot of the software will start scaling towards kids because for all intents and purposes, the Switch is kind of an adult console. A lot of adults are buying it. A lot of the content is geared towards adults. And the DS, 3DS line is a great line for kids to start gaming with. Has a lot of great titles on it. Has a lot of good upcoming titles on it. And so I think the 3DS will primarily rely on third-party development and contracted IP work from Nintendo with other developers.
Here's my take on it. Good answer. Good answer.
I just think like Nintendo themselves are done developing for the 3DS, and I think a lot of other companies are going. Yeah, they are.
No.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
What major games are coming out for 3DS from Nintendo proper?
That we don't know about yet?
I'm just saying, we know a bunch of Switch games that are coming out next year, and we don't know a single 3DS game from Nintendo.
Right, because they're still developing some that they're not ready to announce.
I think them announcing...
Just because Nintendo is announcing stuff for Switch, don't think that they're not developing anything.
I think them announcing that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon was the last 3DS Pokemon game, mainline Pokemon game.
Well, yeah, and so they're ready to because
is the nail
Pokemon has relied on handheld because of the functionality that it has done. that same functionality couldn't been done on past systems. Now that Switch is portable, that same thing that they could do on the 3DS, they could still now do on Switch. They have always been about trading, by physically you meeting another player and trading. That has been a social aspect of Pokemon. You weren't able to do that on Wii, GameCube, Wii U, and all the other hardware consoles from Nintendo. Now that Switch offers that, they're going to, of course, put a game out like that for Switch. But guess what? If I just made 4 million copies for 3DS and still making a ton of million sales off of 3DS, you think I, as a publisher and a hardware developer, is going to cut out my profits? I get double profits. Why would I want to cut that? Just and put all my hope and faith on my console. Look at, I won't even bring up Sony and Microsoft. That's a whole different story. Nintendo, like I stated earlier, they are not going to stop trying to cut into their profits. If they're making money on two platforms, why would you want to cut one that's making you tons of money? Really? Do you really want to cut? Like, I love that Switch is selling 10 million. Love that the games are selling 5 and plus. Continue to do that. That's a great sign for Nintendo. But I'm not about to cut off my side hustle that's making me extra money. And that's going to, don't forget, you got to think about the investors, the CEOs, the development costs for all your employees and stuff. Like, Nintendo is not going to stop doing that. They want to make a profit. They rely on their software. Yes, they do rely on their hardware, but they rely on their software. And if that software is coming from their handheld division and their console division, that's all that matters to them. And Nintendo's not going to cut that. Now, trying to move that to one platform? No. Like I stated earlier, Nintendo's not going to do that. Now, you did make a point saying that the 3DS for kids, but the 3DS is also for adults. Pokemon is still a big seller for that. Atlas is still putting their niche titles on 3DS, which is keeping Atlas and them afloat. Indie games are still selling on both consoles. That's keeping them afloat. People are double dipping. If they buy it on 3DS, they'll buy it on Switch, or they bought it on Wii U or a different platform. Like, the ease of carrying a DS or 3DS/2DS over a Switch, that might be a reason. Like, you kind of got to think outside the box, that when it comes to Nintendo, when it comes to a business standpoint, they're trying to hit everyone in every market that they could hit. And if the 3DS is hitting that market along with Switch in the future, they're going to continue to keep that going. And what they're going to do next is they're going to continue their handheld business and bring out a new DS or a new handheld system that can't be done with the Switch. Now, it might be transferable, like they might have some components where each other, reads each other in case. So let's say I left my Switch on at home, but my next handheld can still play with your Switch. They'll do that. They're going to look into something like that. But they're not about to stop doing the DS line anytime soon. Nintendo probably still got some titles. We still got a Nintendo Direct to look forward to. Yes, we got the sushi game that I'm definitely crazy about that's coming from 3DS. But we don't know if there's going to be a new Rhythm Heaven. We don't know if there's going to be a new Mario game. We don't know if Square Enix got a Bravely Default 3 coming out. We don't know if Elite Beat Agents or some kind of music rhythm game besides Rhythm Heaven coming out. Like, there's tons of stuff that indies, third parties, and Nintendo that haven't been announced yet for their handheld system, and they need the 3DS right now. Switch is good and stuff, but if Switches are selling out and they can't get more in, that's slowing their that's slowing their profits from going. 3DS helps Nintendo profits continue to be fluid. So Nintendo's not going to get rid of the 3DS and put all their baskets on the Switch. No. From a business perspective, no.
I didn't say like right away. I just meant like probably in the next 18 months. I would say
a new 3DS, a new DS or handheld will be coming out. I believe at E3 this year or next year.
I don't know. We'll see. I do think they're going to make another dedicated handheld. Mm-hmm. Just like as much as I don't want them to, like I still think they're going to do it because that has always been integral to their business model. And like, the Switch changes things in that respect, but at the same time, like the Game Boy and DS lines have always been integral to their business model, and I don't see them going another generation without having one. Whether they keep up with the 3DS, which I don't think they are, or just make a simplified gaming device similar to like a Game Boy Advance, but like I think that device would be a cheaper option for parents to give to their kids, and I think it'll have simplified versions of Mario and stuff like that on it. It's hard to predict these things. I don't know. I just don't know. And like I would like to see I would like to see a handheld line, but at the same time I want Nintendo to focus on the Switch and make the best possible software for Switch and have all hands on deck. But at the same time, if third party is going to continue to support Switch, they could teach these new up and coming developers on their handheld system that might have the same architecture that the Switch does, and that way, when they make these handheld games, it's an easy transition for these new developers to move up to the Switch or whatever's next after they develop these games for this handheld. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd see it more as like a cheap, viable option for parents to get their kids something to game on, and B, a way for Nintendo to train up and coming developers, because like it's sad to think about, but Miyamoto and Aonuma aren't going to be there forever. Some of these developers aren't going to be there forever, and it's time for
the new age.
Yeah, it's time for them to start thinking about that and have people training on other, and we've seen games come out like ARMS is a great example, Splatoon's a great example, Mario 3D World is a great example of these teams taking on these challenges. But if you want to make full-fledged games, maybe that's a direction to go. So handhelds still kicking.
Still viable, and hey, do you want Nintendo to stop making like Super NES and N64 and those kind of games and stuff?
I want them to stop making the classics and just put them on Switch. Even though I like the classics, I think they sit very nicely under my TV over there, and they play very well. But
yes,
I wish the classics would come with a download code for Switch and let me play them on my Switch when I'm not sitting in front of my TV. By the way, Super Nintendo controllers work fantastic on the NES Classic.
Yes.
Out there. And much more comfortable, might I add. So, our last question comes from Twitter, from CodFanFF. He asks, what competitive games would you like to see fit on Switch? And he says, Overwatch for the win. And I'm like, we talked about that last week. But I would like to see Nintendo, I'm telling you, man, Metroid Prime Federation Force 2, a loot-driven game where like you find the cool weapons and you find a cool meta similar to Destiny, and like, please.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
Watch our Tuesday show to hear our discussion about that.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really talk about a lot of competitive games.
Games, but but we talked about like League of Legends and Dota and stuff like that. I think the only one that I would love, because Splatoon, I believe, is a competitive shooter and it's doing a great job. I think I would kind of, and this is going to be really out there. Some people might think it's stupid, but I would love to see Dance Dance Revolution to come on Switch as a competitive game. I People still play that at the arcade. They still remember the moves. I think that would be a genre, moving it mixed in with the competitive space to be something to watch on stage, live TV.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know anymore, man. I don't really care about competitive games on Nintendo specifically.
Oh, can I say this? If I was going to really pick a game, Fortnite.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how Nintendo's online infrastructure would handle that, but Fortnite is like a really solid game. Like I played a lot of it actually the other day, and it was like it's a fun little like interesting thing, you know. So
Exactly.
but yeah, that's all the questions we got.
Yay!
So we've been going
And
for what?
Oh, I was gonna say, and everybody, you know, I love Corey. That about the last question.
He doesn't. He really hates me.
No, I love him. If I didn't love him, I wouldn't have sent him the Nintendo Classic for Christmas.
Here's the thing. Ed and I love Nintendo a lot, and we disagree on some things, but we're not arguing. We're debating for the simple fact for a good show for you guys, and like difference of opinions is what this like these shows are built on. And like I don't care if I think Edward's conversation pieces are a little out there. It's fun to talk about. You know,
I come from different viewpoints sometimes,
and it's like it's not like it's like I understand like a lot of people still like the 3DS. I really do. I just like, man, I don't know how they would continue that or put out a new line with something that like is so successful already. Like if Switch wasn't so successful already, I would have thought the 3DS would have lasted 2 or 3 more years. I don't know how they do that. Like, would you put out a Switch Lite, one that doesn't dock, a little mini portable one? Like, I don't know how you would do that. Going back to the last question, like, how would you even do that? I don't know. Yeah. I like the 3DS. I think it's a great system. I just think it's had its run, but at the same time, it's integral for Nintendo to have a separate line of handhelds. It's just Nintendo. They've always have, and they always will. They always will. You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I would like to see this 3DS continue. Honestly, I don't think Nintendo wants to do research and development on a new system, and I think the 3DS is perfectly fine.
And I feel like they've probably already started. That's
I think they've been starting. I think they've been research and developing things since the 3DS launched. You know, like I think that's why we got a 2DS. I think, you know, like, hey, in case 3D doesn't take off, we have a system that doesn't do 3D and it does the same exact thing, and which is what I have, and I like it.
Yes.
Which, by the way, for our Game of the Year discussions, I still need to play Fire Emblem and Metroid a little bit to have conversation, because I don't think, like, as much as we talk about Switch, there are some pretty decent 3DS games that came out that deserve a nod in the discussion.
Yeah.
You know? And I know in the World 1-1 chat, Larry and I were talking about, you know, and a couple other people were talking about, should remasters count? Should remakes count? Should, you know, ports count? And, like, you know, does Metroid Samus Returns deserve a nod for a Game of the Year consideration? And, like, to me, if it's a full-on remake of a game from 20 years ago and it plays differently, it's almost a totally different game except for the bare bone structure of the game, like for me, Metroid: Samus Returns deserves a shot at that.
Yeah,
But something like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga doesn't, because I think it's just pretty much like a remaster. Or something like, honestly, I don't think Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age deserves to be in the conversation, just for the simple fact that that game, like outside of America, that game came out everywhere that way.
But the thing with Final Fantasy 12 though is that it's an international version that never came to America.
I know,
so
but
that's why that is up in a
my
discussion.
point is like that game already came out. Like the international version came out everywhere but America, and you can import that game, and it's already been out. It's just an HD version.
But see, the thing about it is, you had to, at the time in Japan when it came out, you had to mod your system in order to play it, or have a Japanese PlayStation 2 when it came out. So people here in America who's playing it on PlayStation 4, that international version, and definitely with it being sped up, people never got to play that. We did not get to experience that version of the game because they fixed a whole bunch of stuff that we in America never got. So I think that's why people would add something like that to the discussion. I'm like, it's a different version of the original that never came to America. And I understand with the Mario and Luigi one that it's more of an updated version because of the graphics, but yeah, that shouldn't be in a discussion because it's updated now. That only applies, I believe, if everyone in that discussion played the original. If no one has not played the original and everybody has tried this newer version, then that should be in the discussion of Game of the Year. And people like it because they didn't play the original.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a discussion for another day.
In other words, that's a discussion for tonight because we'll probably be playing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, for real. So
be like, Corey, get online. I'm already waiting.
So I mean, we'll figure it out. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be discussed, and now we're getting into that weird discussion where do early access games count as Game of the Year? Like,
oh no,
like PUBG has been considered for Game of the Year on multiple websites, and it's like, I'm not trying to sit here and say that game is like Game of the Year or not. I'm just saying like it's being considered by other websites, and that game is technically doesn't have a 1.0 release date on Steam. So, do you consider that? And it's just like, I don't know. It's Game of the Year is hard, because everybody has a different Game of the Year. So
this is the reason why I feel like that game is not Game of the Year material. I was telling Larry this. I was just like, because of a game based off of popularity and sales, that is the only reason why it's Game of the Year. What have we talked about with PlayerUnknown Battleground? We haven't talked about the gameplay. We haven't talked about how it changed the industry or what innovative stuff. Like, we didn't do none of that. It was a mod off of something else. Mm-hmm. And it was a fan project. A publisher ended up buying it, or they teaming up, and they end up releasing it for consoles and PC.
Yeah. Well, it's... That game's in a weird position because, I do think it deserves some recognition in terms of, what it's done for multiplayer gaming, and, that type of game has really, come to the forefront of competitive multiplayer gaming. But at the same time, I haven't really seen it run on PC. I know it's kind of broken on PC a little bit, but if you watch the Xbox One footage that just came out, and, man, that's some rough game to be considered Game of the Year. But you watch the PC version. The PC version looks good. It runs okay. They haven't rolled out their final version yet. It's coming on January or December 20th, I want to say. So it's that game is interesting to discuss. It's maybe we'll talk about it on Arsenal X this weekend. Because,
yes.
that's a because you and I are doing Arsenal X this weekend. Jesse's out of town, so which, by the way, that audio, I need the audio for last week's episode.
Yeah, I got to mix it in Audacity instead. I'm sorry.
So apologies in advance. Arsenal X is going up with this episode probably. So, but there's a lot of. I think game of the year. Honestly, it comes down to, like, at least for NGR, like, your personal thoughts on the games you played this year and, like, the games that came out this year. Did you enjoy them? Did you play them? Did you, like, Final Fantasy 12 could be one of your games of the year. And, like, for me, my what do you call it? Like, standards for game of the year might be different than yours, and that's okay. And we're allowed to have that discussion. It's the thing is, like, buy the games, you have fun playing them. Buy the games you want to buy, play the games you want to play, and then we'll have the discussion about the games that you love. Like, that's kind of what this thing is built on. So
yes.
Yeah. So man, I just want to, like, keep podcasting forever, but I know this episode's going long, so we'll cut this and save some stuff for another time, I guess. So
we still gotta do our bonus episodes sometime in the future.
Yeah, we do. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Nintendo Power Block. Remember, you can find this show on Tuesdays and Fridays on your favorite podcast service of choice and on our YouTube page, Nerds Gone Rogue. Like, subscribe, and share. Rate us, comment, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitch now. We are going to start streaming the episodes live.
Yes.
I'm going to try to figure out a set schedule for show times and everything. So just so, like, there's a consistency to that as well. We're going to start streaming games too. There's a bunch of games that we want to start streaming. So that's going to be testing throughout the rest of the year to make sure everything's running right and looks right and everything. And then, 2018, we're going to have a big live schedule. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. I got my game capture stuff set up over here. I know all my games are set up over there, but, like, it'll be easy to move stuff over here. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. So
yes.
Check out all that stuff. Thank you, guys. Remember to write in your questions to nintendopowblock@gmail.com or look in the Facebook groups or everything else. Just, yeah, it's a good time. Ed, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode, and you can check out my podcast, Optional Opinion, on SoundCloud. New episodes will be dropping real soon. So do check it out. And yes, everybody check out the buyer's guide for NGR Radio, covering PlayStation, Microsoft, Xbox, and Nintendo for our for Switch and for 3DS/2DS. So check it out.
Yeah. You can find me at CorianHD on Twitter, Twitch, and all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe to all of our shows, our family of shows, Arsenal X, Nerds Gone Platinum, World 1-1, NGR Radio, and of course, Nintendo Power Block. Join our Facebook group, and until next time, we love you.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Woohoo!